All right, welcome to today's Explainer. We are unpacking something that is literally the absolute core of personal transformation. If you've ever felt like you're just spinning your wheels, working insanely hard, but not actually getting anywhere meaningful, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to explore the true source of lasting change. And spoiler alert here, it actually has very little to do with the world around you and absolutely everything to do with the foundation you build inside yourself.
So let's start here. Why does your life feel harder than it should? It's a pretty heavy question, right? Most of us just naturally assume it's because we're lacking something on the outside. We think, we don't have enough talent, we missed out on the right opportunity, or maybe we're just plain unlucky. So what do? We chase. We chase a better job, a brand new city, a new relationship, or even just a completely new morning routine, desperately hoping that fixing the outside will finally give us some peace on the inside. But what if the real issue isn't your circumstances at all? What if the actual problem is that you're trying to build this massive, beautiful life on an incredibly weak internal foundation? And this brings us to a really fascinating paradox. On one side, we have changing circumstances, those quick external fixes like moving to a new city or switching careers. But on the other side, we have changing the system, which actually means upgrading your mindset, your daily habits, and your internal peace. Most people spend decades, literally decades, operating strictly on that first side. But here is the hard truth of the matter. Wherever you go, you take yourself with you. If you don't change the internal system, you're just going to bring your old doubts, your old fears, and your old reactive habits right into your brand new environment. You end up running into the exact same brick walls, just in a different zip code. Lasting transformation absolutely has to start with shifting your focus to your internal system. Moving into our first major section here, the saboteurs. Specifically, we're looking at attention and emotion. Think about this for a second. Imagine trying to build a house, but you have to pack up and change construction sites every 5 minutes. No way, right? Nothing meaningful would ever get built. Yet, honestly, that is exactly how so many of us are living mentally. Every app, every notification, every single breaking news headline is constantly competing for a tiny fraction of your focus. It's kind of wild when you realize the average person checks their phone over 100 times a day. If your attention is scattered across 100 different distractions, your life results are going to be incredibly scattered too. In a world that is literally designed by engineers to distract you, learning to focus deeply isn't just some neat productivity hack you do for your boss. It is an absolute survival skill. It's how you finally stop reacting to everyone else's agenda and start creating your own. Now, the second big saboteur is letting your emotions completely drive the car. The emotional mind is highly reactive. It sees threats everywhere, and it operates entirely on temporary feelings. But the calm mind? That mind is intentional. It creates space, and it looks for opportunities. Look, emotions are fantastic signals, but they make for really terrible leaders. If you are making permanent life decisions based on a temporary wave of anger or a fleeting burst of excitement, you are absolutely going to create massive instability in your life. Real wisdom begins the exact moment you can create just a tiny gap of space between what you feel and how you act. The calm mind uses that space to make intentional choices. Which brings us to this really interesting redefinition of dependency from the source material. We usually think of dependency in purely physical terms, right? But here, we're defining it as relying on constant stimulation, external approval, or perfect circumstances just to feel whole. A lot of us walk around thinking we're totally free because no one is physically controlling us. But if you literally cannot go a single day without digital stimulation, or if your entire mood crashes just because someone didn't approve of your work, are you actually free? True unshakable strength is found by reducing these unnecessary dependencies. The less you need the outside world to validate you, the more incredibly powerful you become. All right, let's shift gears to the solution. Section 2, discipline builds self-trust. Here is the clear mechanical breakdown of how you actually manufacture real confidence. It starts simply by honoring a commitment, like telling yourself you'll wake up early to exercise. Next, you actively choose that discipline over the comfort of just staying in a warm bed. By doing this, you are proving to your subconscious that your actions are actually stronger than your excuses. And finally, you accumulate self-trust. Real confidence isn't built by just staring into a bathroom mirror and repeating positive affirmations until you magically feel good. Confidence is built by accumulating undeniable evidence that you are a reliable person. When your mind and body learn that you actually do what you say you're going to do, you build this internal authority that nobody can ever take away from you. Which leads perfectly into Section 3, the antidote to waiting. Progress over perfection. We really need to dismantle this word right now.
Perfection is an illusion, and it frequently disguises a deep fear of failure, judgment, or just making mistakes. We see people brag about being perfectionists all the time, pretending it just means they have incredibly high standards. But the text points out something profound here. Perfection actually keeps people trapped. It's usually just a highly socially acceptable mask for fear. We sit around waiting for the perfect moment, absolute certainty, or this massive magical wave of motivation. But spoiler alert, the perfect moment simply does not exist. Every single major accomplishment in human history was built on a foundation of countless, highly imperfect, and completely clumsy attempts.
And here is a massive takeaway you should keep in mind. Clarity comes from movement, not from endless thinking. If you really want to master yourself, you have to realize that you cannot just sit on the couch and think your way into a new life. You actually have to act your way there. The people who go on to achieve extraordinary things aren't the ones who had all the answers before they started. Not at all. They are the ones who took a step forward, despite feeling completely unprepared. Human evolution requires repetition and it requires mistakes. Progress absolutely belongs to the people who are willing to just keep moving forward while they are still figuring the whole thing out.
Moving right along to Section 4, Escaping the Comfort Prison. Look, avoiding difficulty always seems like the smartest, most logical choice in the moment, doesn't it? We all just want to be comfortable. But over time, continually avoiding hard things leads to severe limitations and weakness. Comfort literally becomes a prison that locks you in. On the flip side, embracing discomfort actively builds resilience, character, and courage. Think about it exactly like going to the gym. Muscles only grow when you expose them to resistance and tension. Well, your character operates on the exact same biological principle. Every single time you willingly step into a difficult, uncomfortable situation, you're actively expanding your overall capacity for life.
That brings us to Section 5, Dropping the Heavy Weights.
We are all walking around carrying these completely invisible weights. The need for external approval, the desire for constant praise, the sting of past betrayals, and just old, stubborn anger. When you build your entire identity on the need for external validation, you are basically building a house on shifting sand. One day the crowd loves you, the next day they completely ignore you, and that emotional roller coaster drains you. But perhaps the heaviest weight of all the ones we carry is old anger. So many people just replay past betrayals and disappointments on an endless loop in their heads, somehow believing that holding on to that resentment protects them from getting hurt again. But in reality, it is completely exhausting. It just keeps you chained to the exact thing you are so desperately trying to escape.
Letting go actually means you're choosing freedom over bitterness. And this is so absolutely crucial to understand. Dropping your anger and forgiving the past does not mean that what happened to you was okay or acceptable. It definitely doesn't justify someone else's bad behavior. It simply means you refuse to carry that incredibly heavy weight for even one more mile. It means you are absolutely refusing to let the past dictate your future. You are intentionally choosing your own peace and your own personal growth over maintaining a bitter attachment to yesterday.
And finally, Section 6, The Ultimate Victory.
So what does this unshakable foundation actually look like when it's all put together? It's deep focus in an incredibly distracted world. It's having the emotional control that creates space for real wisdom. It's maintaining physical discipline that proves to your subconscious that you can be trusted. It's taking decisive action that prioritizes real progress over the illusion of perfection. And it's practicing forgiveness to drop the heavy weights of your past. When you combine these specific traits, you ignite a transformation that is entirely independent of your external circumstances. You basically build a fortress inside yourself that no bad day, no terrible boss, and no unfortunate event can ever tear down. Which leaves us with one lingering question today. Are you actually ready to master yourself? You know, the greatest victory you will ever achieve in this lifetime isn't over an opponent or a difficult job market or even a challenging relationship. The absolute greatest victory is always going to be over your own mind. It is time to stop trying to frantically fix the outside world and start doing the deep, quiet, rewarding work on the inside. Because the very moment you truly master yourself, you'll find that everything else around you slowly, quietly, and beautifully begins to change.